Thank you for joining us. Today we have an update on the Bearspaw South feeder main repair and impacts to citywide water service. We'll be hearing from Director of Capital Priorities and Investment, Francois Bouchard. We'll hear his remarks and then there will be an opportunity to ask questions after. I'll now turn it over to Director Bouchard.
Thank you, Jamie, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Francois Bouchard, Director of Capital Priorities and Investment with the City of Calgary. Here is today's update on our progress with construction and restoring water service. As I shared at the last update, we started refilling the feeder main yesterday morning. We have had some questions about whether there will be impacts to water pressure while we return the feeder main to service. We do not anticipate any widespread impacts to water pressure. There may be a few homes that experience a drop in pressure while we release water from fire hydrants as part of the return to service of the feeder main, but that will be minimal. The impacted homes have already been notified. Based on progress to date, we are still on track to lift water restrictions sometime this weekend. We will continue to bring updates daily and let you know if anything changes over the next few days. When we lifted water restrictions in July, we took a phased approach, starting with a return to indoor water use and then carefully moving through the stages of outdoor restrictions. We took that approach because we knew there were still areas of concern in the pipe. With the repairs, we can take a different approach to lifting restrictions this time. We will ask you to ease back into your water use by not doing all your laundry at once, for instance. But once the feeder main is back in service, all restrictions will be fully lifted. Yesterday's water use was 500 million litres. This accounts for approximately 7 million litres that was used to start filling the pipe yesterday. This water came from the Bearspaw plant over and above what we supplied to the rest of the system. We are so close to the end, but I want to remind you that we need to keep up water-saving practices until the feeder main is back in service. Please hang in there and help us get to the finish line. We continue to progress with the final stages of our construction. Sites 1 and 5 along 33rd Avenue Northwest will be graveled today in preparation for paving. 33rd Avenue Northwest, east of 83rd Street, opened yesterday afternoon. And along 16th Avenue Northwest, the 24/7 localized lane closures that have been removed and intermittent lane closures are in place as needed. As we approach the end of this work, I know many of you may be wondering about our next steps. The work on the feeder main that we have just completed was to address segments of the pipe that needed urgent repairs. They were in poor condition and there was a risk of another catastrophic break. With this work complete, we have lowered this risk significantly. As I shared in August, we have 2 additional sections of pipe to repair in October and November. These are on a narrower section of the pipe, further east along Memorial Drive in Parkdale. These repairs are much smaller in scope and are in a location we can isolate while keeping some key sections of the feeder main running. As a result, there will be no citywide water restrictions needed while we perform this work. We are finalizing plans right now and we'll be sharing more details in the upcoming weeks. As we mentioned last week, we have engaged consultants who have been working on a detailed forensics report. This will include fulsome results from the pipe diver and soil and structural analysis of the pipe. We anticipate a final report by the end of October. We will also be receiving a report back from our contractor in the coming weeks with recommendations to support the development of our medium and long-term plans for the pipe. Once we have reviewed the recommendations and factor in our own findings and lessons learned, we will share next steps with the public. These reports are separate from the independent third-party review of the incident, which is ongoing. Your collective efforts to save water during repairs have gotten us this far. Let's finish strong. Thank you for your ongoing support. Our next update will be tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll now turn things over to Jamie to field questions.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Mr. Director, will the pipe hold after it's filled?
So we have made the critical repairs to the pipe to ensure that we can bring it back into operations. We don't need to bring it slowly back into operation because the repairs to those critical sections have been completed.
Have they done any snap wire testing?
So we continue to monitor the wire snaps, and I don't have any numbers to share with you today, but we had to suspend some of that work while the feeder main was empty. So as we fill up the pipe, then we will be able to restart that monitoring.
I know this is a redundant question, but what construction is left?
So the construction that's left is we have two segments of pipe that require urgent repairs, but they're on that smaller pipe that's 1,500 millimeters in diameter, so smaller pipe, and that will be done in October, November of this year.
Last question, Mr. Director. What is cleared up?
Cleared up.
What has been completed so far as a result today?
Oh, so in terms of the work that we've completed today, well, we obviously had the repair to the original break. Then we had the 5 hot spots that we repaired in June. And now we've completed the repairs of the 21 pipe segments that were identified as part of this phase of work. And the last thing that we need to do, though, I want to reemphasize, is that we're filling the pipe back up, and we need to pass the water quality tests before we can bring the pipe back into service.
As we applaud Calgarians for their, their water, restrictions and such, is this something that you encourage Calgarians to do in the long term?
So I think that we've had lots of learnings, both in terms of our own operations and about the condition of our pipe and how to quickly repair the pipe. And I think that as Calgarians, many of us have also learned in terms of ways to save money. Because every time that you save a drop of water, you actually impact your water bill. So we've learned, both as individuals and as businesses, that there are ways in which we can reduce our water consumption.
Any other questions?
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the Water Center.